The next day, Gloria stands in the waiting room, eager to see who will be her next opponent. Her eyes are glued to the board in the waiting room. Ash, Marnie, and Hop are in the stands, similarly wondering who Gloria's opponent could be. However, soon the announcer states that the matchups are going to be announced right now. In the top 4, the matchups will be Ash versus Pionia and Gloria versus Bead. Ash, Hop, and Marnie are stunned by this. Since when was Bead even in this competition? He was disqualified from the gym challenge, so how can he even participate? Admittedly, none of the trainers had even noticed Bead within the tournament this entire time, all focused on their own matches. In that moment, Bead approaches Gloria in the waiting room, and to her surprise, he's wearing the fairy-type uniform. Perhaps this is why none of them recognized him. Naturally, all of them are shocked, and Gloria asks Bead what he's doing. He was disqualified and shouldn't be there. Bead, however, proudly boasts that he was allowed special entry into the league conference thanks to his new mentor, Opal. She'd been working with him to become the new fairy-type gym leader of Galar, and even though he hated his training, she rewarded him for his great work by giving him a new endorsement. This would allow him to pick up where he left off and re-enter the gym challenge to participate in the league. Opal told him that his final test would be to head to the Pokemon League and win the League Conference Champion Cup. If he could win, she'd honor him as the next gym leader. Bead explains that while this wasn't in his original plans, it all goes back to his main goal, battling in the league, defeating all of his opponents, and challenging Leon. So he agreed to Opal's challenge. Gloria does remember how Bead went off to go train with Opal, but she's still confused and wonders if this is even allowed. But she supposes it must be. After all, Rose has been watching this tournament the whole time, so clearly he must have respected Opal's decision to re-enter Bead. That said, Gloria isn't too bothered by this. After all, she and Bead always had a strong rivalry, so she's interested in facing him again. She tells Bead that even if he's been training with a gym leader, she still doesn't plan to lose to him. But Bead reminds her that since he's been training with Opal, he's got a brand new team with new strategies, none of which she's seen. Meanwhile, he's continued to keep track of her battles and knows every one of her battle tactics. This actually does unnerve Gloria a bit. After all, she prefers to know everything about her opponent before facing them. But now, this is a new Bead, one she wasn't prepared for. On the pitch, the announcer prepares for the battle to open, announcing Bead and Gloria as the next challengers to battle, to many cheers from the crowd. Right off the bat, Gloria isn't sure what to expect. After all, up until now, she'd only known Bead as a psychic-type trainer. Even when she beat him before, it was due to her prior knowledge of his Pokemon and battling style. But now he's been training to become the next fairy-type gym leader. This puts a complete change to how she would approach this battle. But there's no turning back now. So, the first match of the top 4, Gloria versus Bead, commences. Bead starts by telling Gloria that he'll show her and everyone in the crowd the power of pink. Gloria isn't too sure exactly what this means, but she tells him that she'll defeat him for sure. The girl remains cautious, with Bead now focusing on fairy types. Her once perfect counter to his team, her Thievul, now has a huge disadvantage. But she does have experience battling Opal, so maybe Bead has emulated her battle style. She supposes she'll have to wait and see. In the crowd, Avery can sense Gloria's nervousness. She's probably a bit unsure, due to having not seen Bead battle in a while. As someone who prefers to learn her opponent's battle style before facing them, this might be a bit of a difficult time for her. Ash and the others aren't nervous though, as Gloria has become better at working through an unexpected situation. Bead decides to start the battle, sending out a Sylveon. Immediately, Gloria is thrown off, as this is a new Pokemon from Bead, and she has no clue how it battles. She decides to just make the decision she thinks is best. Go with a bulky Pokemon. So she sends out Appleton. Bead is confused as to why the ever-analytical Gloria would go with a type disadvantage, but decides to just take the free advantage he's been given. He has Sylveon start out with Moonblast, but Appleton intercepts the blow with Energy Ball. The attacks collide, but Sylveon's attack manages to push through to strike Appleton. Gloria calls for a quick recover, but Bead does not want her to even try any healing shenanigans. So he tells Sylveon to use Double Edge, and Gloria decides she has no choice but to order Grassy Glide to intercept. Appleton only manages to heal a small bit of damage before she charges forward with her attack. Once again, the Pokemon collide, but again, Sylveon pushes through to send Appleton flying. Gloria is stunned at just how much damage Appleton seems to take from that attack, as the Fruit Dragon struggles to get back to her feet. Bead smirks, but it goes unnoticed by Gloria. Her Appleton tries to hit with Grassy Glide again, but Sylveon is speedy enough to dodge and land another Moonblast. Appleton recoils in pain, but sends off a quick Apple Acid, which manages to strike Sylveon while her guard is down. Sylveon wails loudly as she is hit, the Apple Acid burning her fur. So Gloria has Appleton use Energy Ball to double up on the damage. Bead is aware that Apple Acid weakens Sylveon's defenses, so he's not inclined to let this go on. He orders Giga Impact. Gloria isn't too concerned, since the attack isn't a Fairy-type move, so she has Appleton brace for impact and use Recover. The small apple pie creature digs her feet into the ground and begins recovering energy. Sylveon barrels into Appleton, knocking her into the air. The tiny dinosaur then hurtles into the ground, creating a crater in the ground. The Rotom drone referee then deems her unable to battle. This stuns Gloria and her friends in the audience. Hop can't believe that Appleton lost after only a few attacks. But this is when Bead speaks up and reveals that his Sylveon's ability is Pixelate, causing its normal type moves like Giga Impact to be Fairy type. This completely throws Gloria off and now messes up her strategy. She recalls Appleton, thanking her for a great job, and then sends out Thievul. Avery is confused why Gloria is throwing out all of her Pokemon weak to Fairy types off the bat. Clara suggests that maybe this is just her strategy. Sylveon needs to recharge energy after using Giga Impact, so Gloria takes the time to have Thievul use a few Tail Slap attacks. Sylveon is knocked around but isn't too fazed by the attacks, so Beat orders Moonblast. But unlike Appleton, Thievul is more than fast enough to dodge. He then strikes with Lash Out and lands a direct hit. Hop, Marnie, Ash, and Urshifu cheer for Thievul, but Bead is quick to put a stop to this. He tells Sylveon to grab Thievul with her feelers, and she manages to bring the fox to a halt. With this, Bead takes the chance to use Moonblast, and this is able to land a direct hit to Thievul. Gloria asks Thievul if he's okay, and he shakes himself off and nods. Bead feels like he has the perfect advantage here, and has Sylveon use Giga Impact once more. The feline creature rushes forward, but Gloria has Thievul use the same strategy he used against Avery, to stand on his tail and then jump up at the last second. He manages to completely jump over the Giga Impact, and free himself from Sylveon's grip. With the perfect opening, he then lands a powerful Hyper Beam, taking Sylveon out of the battle. The match is now tied, Mustard notes, with Gloria and Bead each fainting one Pokemon, but it's still anyone's game. Bead does commend Gloria on being able to take down a Pokemon she's not seen from him, despite the type disadvantages she's had. But he's got more surprises for her. He then proceeds to bring out another surprise Pokemon, that being his own Alchemy. Gloria is beyond stunned to see this Pokemon under Bead's ownership, but she doesn't let it throw her off. She knows how Alchemy usually battles, so she feels like this is a benefit, even if it's just a small one. Bead begins by having his Alchemy use Acid Armor to strengthen her defenses. Gloria has Thievul use Tail Slap, smacking the small whipped cream monster around. But thanks to her heightened defenses, Alchemy resists the hits well, allowing her to hit back with a strong Play Rough when Thievul gets in close. Alchemy is surprisingly powerful, pulverizing Thievul, much to Gloria's shock. Bead doesn't let up and orders another Play Rough, but Thievul is still quick enough to dodge and then hit Lash Out. Alchemy uses another Acid Armor to defend though. At this point, Gloria is unsure of if she should switch Thievul out or simply try to make the most with the powerful hit. She decides to go with the latter option and commands Hyper Beam. Bead tells his Alchemy to use Misty Terrain as a cover. Both attacks are executed, but due to the shadowy mist covering the battlefield, Thievul actually misses Hyper Beam. Marnie remembers something similar to this happening in her battle with Gloria's Alchemy the previous day, and says Bead must have taken note of it for his own Alchemy. Bead uses this to his advantage and orders his Alchemy to use Play Rough. Gloria freaks out and tells Thievul to dodge, but he doesn't even know where his opponent is coming from or where he should go. As such, while he's stunned, Alchemy lunges from the pink shadows and strikes with a hard play rough, knocking Thievul out. Gloria is rather shocked at the strength of Bead's alchemy, but recalls Thievul and praises him for his great effort. Bead explains how he had his alchemy trained with opals, and she's become incredibly strong, so Gloria shouldn't underestimate her. At this point, Gloria knows that she needs a real heavy hitter, so she sends in Arctozolt. The bird monster is a bit dazed upon seeing the opposing alchemy, but gets into battle mode regardless. She immediately uses Freeze Dry on herself to create her ice body shield. But oddly enough, Bead seems unfazed by this. Gloria starts by ordering Icicle Crash, but Alchemy dodges in the misty terrain once again to avoid the attack. She then strikes with Play Rough, but thanks to Arctozolt's Ice Shield, she is virtually unharmed by the attack. That said, Alchemy is now in Arctozolt's view, so Gloria commands Bolt Beak, but Alchemy intercepts with Play Rough. Shockingly, despite the size differences of the Pokemon, their power levels seem similar. The two push each other back equally. Bead continues to use the misty terrain to his advantage, defensively, but he's struggling to do major damage thanks to Arctozolt's special power. The misty terrain also soon looks like it's beginning to fade. He knows he needs to do big damage quickly, so he calls out to Alchemy and asks if she's ready. The small Pokemon gives a determined look and nods. Gloria is confused, but she also knows that she needs to land a big hit as well, so she commands Giga Impact. Bead thinks this is perfect. Arctozolt dives forward with her attack, lunging at Alchemy with an impressive power. But something like this is exactly what Bead wanted, and as soon as the bird mutant gets close enough, he commands Misty Explosion. All of the remaining misty terrain is absorbed into Alchemy's body, and she executes the move. A massive rainbow-colored explosion shakes the entire Winden Stadium, leaving the audience in shock. Arctozolt is sent hurtling through the air and slams into the stadium wall. As the smoke clears, Alchemy is of course fainted from the move. But, to the audience's surprise, Arctozolt manages to get back to her feet. It seems the icy defensive barrier was just enough to protect her from the full force of the blast. That said, it was also strong enough to shatter said barrier, meaning Arctozolt's body is back to normal. Bead is disappointed that the attack wasn't strong enough to take down the fossil, but is happy that Alchemy was able to get rid of its special power-up. As such, he sends out his next choice, Mawile. It's another Pokemon Gloria hasn't seen from Bead before, so she proceeds with caution. Mawile glares intimidatingly at Arctozolt, actually frightening her despite the size difference between the two. Gloria, of course, wants to get Arctozolt powered up again, so she tells Arctozolt to use Freeze Dry on her own body once more. But Bead stops this by ordering Mawile to use Iron Head. The small Pokemon is far more agile than Arctozolt, and manages to rush over to slam her head into the bird behemoth before she can even prepare her attack. Gloria asks her Pokemon if she's alright, but she flinches in pain, a direct result of the Iron Head. With Arctozolt paused, Bead commands Mawile to use Flamethrower, much to the shock of Gloria, who didn't expect such a move from Mawile. Arctozolt is badly hurt by the attack, but tries to withstand the hit for Gloria's sake. Marnie comments that Bead has definitely grown as a battler over time. Hop is a bit concerned, but Ash has faith in his friend. Avery, meanwhile, demands for his rival to pull it together and think of a strategy to win this. Gloria quickly commands Bolt Beak, since Arctozolt's other moves wouldn't be the best against Mawile. The dinosaur bird tries to go in for the attack, but Mawile is quick enough to block the move with its jaws on her head. This does slightly hurt, but she fights through the pain to push Arctozolt back, and land another Iron Head. Arctozolt is knocked onto her back, and from there, she struggles to move altogether. Gloria tries not to panic and orders Icicle Crash. But Mawile dodges the attack and blasts Arctozolt with another Flamethrower, ending the fossil's run in the battle. Gloria is now down half her team, while Bead has only lost 2 Pokemon. This slightly unnerves the girl, but she always knew that the road to Leon would be tough. And she's so close to that goal, she can't lose now. So she takes out a deep breath and sends out Cinderace. Shockingly, once again, Bead still seems calm. He doesn't recall the Pokemon, despite the type disadvantage. This actually gives Clara the feeling that Bead must have something up his sleeve to counter Cinderace. And indeed he does. As Gloria calls for Blaze Kick, Mawile blocks it with Stone Edge. The attack not only shields Mawile from the attack, but also hits Cinderace for big damage. Gloria must admit, she's impressed by how well Bead has been handling this match. The way he's been prepared for all the Pokemon she's thrown at him. His new battling style is interesting. From the crowd, Ash is thinking the same thing. Bead is battling like Gloria, and the others can see it as well. Gloria asks Cinderace if she's okay, and she nods. Gloria realizes that she needs to be careful, so she commands Pyro Ball. Mawile intercepts this with Flamethrower, however, and actually manages to push Cinderace back, though she's mostly unharmed. Gloria then commands numerous Pyro Balls. Mawile struggles to block each fireball coming at her, but she only just manages to do so with Flamethrower. However, this gives Cinderace the chance to run around the preoccupied Pokemon and use a strong high jump kick for big damage. But Beat orders her to use Thunder Fang now that Cinderace is up close, and the move lands a heavy hit. However, Cinderace also fights through the pain and lands a point-blank Blaze Kick. Bead then calls out to Mawile, who struggles to get back to her feet. Bead orders another Stone Edge, but Cinderace is prepared for the attack this time. She uses her speed and amazing jumping ability to hop on the top of the stones toward Mawile. A perfectly timed Pyro Ball is then launched and finishes off Mawile. Gloria is thrilled over getting another win and tying up the match. Bead recalls Mawile and commends her for taking down Arctozolt and landing some good hits onto Gloria's star player Cinderace. He then sends out his next choice, his now evolved Rapidash. Gloria and Cinderace are surprised to see the evolved Pokemon and note that Bead's Rapidash looks more aggressive than Gloria's as it snarls angrily at the rabbit across from it. Gloria decides to recall Cinderace for now and sends out her own Alchemy. Bead's Rapidash growls at Alchemy and she tries to growl back. But she looks utterly adorable and Rapidash is unfazed. Bead starts by ordering Zen Headbutt. Rapidash charges in for the attack, and Gloria tries to have Alchemy push Rapidash back with Dazzling Gleam. The tiny Pokemon is able to hold back the horse temporarily, but Rapidash uses his willpower to continue forward and land the hit. Alchemy is hurt, but not wanting to waste a good opportunity, Gloria commands her to use Attract. Since Rapidash is so close now, he is struck by the hit and becomes infatuated. This only slightly annoys Bead. He knows his Rapidash is strong enough to deal with his opponent, infatuated or not. He calls for Future Sight, but unfortunately, Rapidash doesn't move in his infatuated state. Gloria then orders Alchemy to use Decorate on herself. Anime logic here. To give herself a power boost, Bead calls for Smart Strike, and to Gloria's shock, Rapidash actually uses the move, dealing a hard, super effective hit to Alchemy. She manages to pull herself together though, and uses Dazzling Gleam, which deals a huge hit. Bead orders another Zen Headbutt, and once again, Rapidash manages to fight through the infatuation to land another major hit. This unnerves Gloria. Attract was meant to bring this battle in her favor, but so far, it's not helped much, as Rapidash has been able to fight through it. But she can't give up now. She decides to mimic Bead's move from earlier in the battle, and calls for Misty Terrain. Alchemy shrouds the battlefield in a pink mist, covering herself from Rapidash's view. Bead tells Gloria that trying to hide will do no good against his Rapidash. He tells the horse to use his psychic powers to locate Alchemy. The infatuation makes it difficult, but eventually Rapidash is able to focus enough to use his psychic powers to find Alchemy, but it's not before he's hit with another Dazzling Gleam. Still, he manages to lift her up with his psychic powers and bring her in close to hit her with a hard Zen Headbutt. Alchemy is in a lot of pain, but now that she's close to Rapidash once more, a point-blank critical hit Dazzling Gleam sends Rapidash into the air. Bead calls out for one more Future Sight, and Rapidash just manages to use the move before slamming onto the ground, unconscious. Gloria gets the win, but Alchemy is barely holding on. Not to mention, she now has to worry about the impending Future Sight attack. Excited to keep the battle going, Bead sends out his Hatterene. This is the first time Bead has shown off his evolved starter in public, having not even needed to rely on her throughout the league, and the crowd is in awe over seeing it. Ash and Hop both remember how powerful that Pokemon was, even before evolving, so Gloria will need to be careful. The misty terrain fades away as Bead calls for a mystical fire attack. Alchemy is hit hard, but tries to pull through for Gloria. A dazzling gleam is launched, but Hatterene dodges it. Bead criticizes Alchemy for only knowing one attacking move. She's too predictable, in spite of Gloria's crafty battling strategies. This irritates Gloria, but she ignores the comment and tells Alchemy to use Decorate on herself once more. But Bead stops this by having Hatterene use Play Nice. Gloria is confused by this, as she's never even seen the move. But she's then horrified when Alchemy launches the attack over to Hatterene, thus giving her the power boost. Come on guys, you can't tell me this isn't some creative anime logic. Decorate boosts attack. Alchemy was using it on herself. Play Nice lowers attack, so Hatterene stole the move and thus lowered Alchemy's attack. Isn't that creative? No? Okay. This move is a complete surprise to everyone in the audience. But before Gloria can even react, Alchemy is struck by numerous psychic orbs raining down from the sky. Future Sight had arrived after everyone had forgotten. Gloria screams out in horror, but it's too late. With Alchemy dazed, a Shadow Ball from Hatterene lands a perfect strike. Alchemy is taken down by this combination of surprise attacks. Now the battle is tied once more. Each side only has 2 Pokemon left. Mustard is impressed with Bead, considering he has such a massive gap in his gym challenge and had to catch up to even make it to the league. Yet, he can still compete with one of the top trainers of the entire challenge. Avery tells Gloria not to slip up. She can still win this. Gloria nods back to her rival and sends out her Rapidash. Clara says that Gloria needs to remember that Hatterene is still powered up from Decorate and needs to watch out for Play Nice. Gloria starts by ordering Play Rough, but Hatterene is speedy enough to dodge and use a hard Shadow Ball. Rapidash doesn't let this phase her though, and lets loose a flurry of Psycho Cuts. Bead tells Hatterene to dodge, but with the Psycho Cuts being launched so wildly, she can't help but take a few hits, one of which causes her to flinch in pain. This allows Rapidash the prime opportunity to use a piercing Mega Horn. This actually causes enough damage to cause Bead concern, so he switches out Hatterene for his Gardevoir. Gardevoir starts out strong with an Energy Ball, but a Psycho Cut from Rapidash intercepts the hit before it can make contact. Bead tells Gardevoir to switch to Moonblast, but Rapidash dodges and uses Mega Horn. Gardevoir is shaken up, but Bead tells her to use Psychic Terrain. She does so, coating the field in a purple psychic energy, but this opening gives Rapidash the perfect opportunity to use Play Rough. The attack collides, but Gardevoir remains standing. A close-range Moonblast from Gardevoir does a decent hit, but Rapidash shakes it off. Clara is a bit confused by how passive Gardevoir is battling. It's usually not Bead's style. Hop is also a bit curious on what Bead is doing. After all, his Pokemon is taking quite a beating. This is when Bead calls for Wish. Avery's familiar with this move. It will allow a Pokemon to heal itself. Gardevoir begins glowing brightly, and Gloria panics. It's clear that this is what Bead has been planning all along. He wants to exhaust her Pokemon, while constantly healing up with his own. She does not want all of Rapidash's hard work to go to waste, so she calls for a brand new move, her secret weapon. She didn't want to reveal it so early, but it seems she has no choice now. She tells Rapidash to use Horn Drill. Rapidash rushes over at an impressive speed and impales Gardevoir with a powerful attack. The move tears into Gardevoir, fainting her instantly. Gloria's fans cheer in the audience, while Bead's fans are disappointed over Gardevoir's quick loss. Honey and Mustard are also confused by this performance and feel Bead must have something else planned. Indeed, Bead smirks as Hatterene is brought back to the field. Gloria is confident now. After all, Hatterene was weakened a bit in the earlier battle. However, it doesn't seem that it will matter much as Hatterene begins to glow. In an instant, all the damage she'd received previously is healed up, and she becomes fully revitalized. Ash is confused, and this is when Avery explains that Wish will heal any Pokemon on the battlefield, not necessarily the Pokemon who used the move. Marty says that this was clearly Bead's plan in using the move all along. Likewise, Bead laughs as he announces that he's ready to finish things. He commands Expanding Force from his Pokemon. Hatterene nods to Bead and gives her opponent a vicious look before using her attack. A massive burst of energy is blasted at Rapidash, and to Gloria's shock and horror, this knocks her Pokemon out. Avery is in awe of how Rapidash could have fallen so quickly, especially to a move that she resisted through her typing. Gloria is beyond confused as well, and wonders out loud how this could have happened. Bead laughs again, revealing to Gloria that he allowed her to knock out Gardevoir because she was only intended to prep the battlefield for Hatterene to come in and finish things. Using Wish to heal Hatterene, not to mention using Psychic Terrain to power up Hatterene's psychic attacks, especially Expanding Force. This was what he wanted. Gloria now sees why Bead was battling so passively with Gardevoir, and in the audience, Avery criticizes himself for not noticing this. He's impressed, though, that even now as a Fairy-type trainer, Bead never let go of his knowledge of Psychic types, and has used their strategies well in this battle. Gloria actually does compliment him for this, but says that she can still make it through and win this battle. She sends out her final Pokemon, Cinderace. At this point, both trainers are ready to end things, but they know they need to be cautious as well. Bead commands another Expanding Force. Gloria tries to have Cinderace dodge, but Bead tells Hatterene to grab Cinderace to keep her from avoiding the move. Hatterene grabs on a Cinderace's leg with her tentacle arm and pulls her into the range of the Expanding Force. Cinderace is flung onto the ground, and Gloria shrieks in horror. Cinderace slowly pulls herself up, and at that moment, the Psychic Terrain fades away. This pleases Gloria, since now Hatterene's Psychic-type moves won't be as powerful. But it seems Bead isn't ready to let go of his advantage, as he calls Hatterene back to her Pokeball. Everyone knows what's coming now. Bead Dynamaxes the Pokemon, and she emerges from her Pokeball in her Gigantamaxed form. Bead says that it's time to end things, and quickly commands Max Phantasm. Hatterene launches a bunch of ghostly objects at Cinderace at an incredible speed. Gloria tells Cinderace to use her speed and jumping skills to run across the giant items, and then use Blaze Kick. The objects are flung one by one, but Cinderace manages to jump across all of them. As she jumps, and her momentum builds, her feet become even hotter, powering up the Blaze Kick. Hatterene swipes the Cinderace with her tentacles, but the rabbit jumps across them as well, and lands a hard Blaze Kick to Hatterene's face. The large Pokemon isn't too injured, so Bead orders G-Max Smite. Avery calls out to Gloria to be careful, since G-Max Smite can cause a Pokemon to become confused. Cinderace tries to dodge, but the sheer size and range of the attack causes her to become struck and confused. As the fire rabbit stands to her feet, she wobbles around in her dizzy state. Gloria tries to call out to her, but she only glares in her direction, completely unaware of what's going on. Hatterene then starts smacking Cinderace around with her tentacles, flinging her all over the battlefield. Cinderace tries attacking randomly, but nothing works, and she winds up injuring herself even further. This is not a good situation to be in, but Gloria feels she has no choice now. She calls Cinderace to her Pokeball and Gigantamaxes her. Cinderace is still out of it as she struggles to maintain her balance on the giant fireball, but Gloria says she'd rather have both Pokemon on a more equal playing field. Bead doesn't see the confused rabbit as any kind of threat, so he tells Hatterene to finish things with Max Darkness. Hatterene launches the attack and is heading right at Cinderace. Gloria begs her to use G-Max Fireball to intercept, but as she tries to use the move, she winds up slipping off of her Fireball. As she falls to the ground, the Max Darkness strikes the giant Fireball, causing a massive explosion. Hatterene returns to her normal size as the smoke clears, while Gloria calls out to Cinderace in concern. Everyone is silent, until suddenly, Cinderace jumps back up and lands on her Fireball with her usual elegance. This stuns everybody in the crowd, and Hop says that Cinderace has snapped out of her confusion. Clara inwardly wonders if it was that final knock to the head after falling off the Fireball that did the trick. Regardless, Gloria is now at a strong advantage and orders a Max Strike. Bead tells Hatterene to dodge, and she just barely manages to avoid the hit. But Gloria immediately calls for a second Max Strike before Bead can even register the command. As such, Hatterene has no time to dodge this and takes the hard hit, reducing her speed. Bead asks his starter if she's okay, and though she's hunched over, she tries to get back up. But now, Gloria is ready to finish things off and calls for G-Max Fireball. Cinderace sends the massive ball of flames at Hatterene with a powerful kick. With Hatterene being far too slow to dodge, she tries to hold the fireball back with her psychic powers. Despite the sheer difference in power, Hatterene uses all of her might to hold back the attack for Bead's sake, and she actually manages to keep the fireball away from her, impressing Bead. But Cinderace doesn't want to back down either, and at Gloria's command, she delivers another powerful kick to the fireball. And despite Hatterene fighting back as much as she could, Gloria's starter manages to overpower Hatterene, even in her exhausted state, and the fireball crashes into her, dealing astronomical damage. Cinderace returns back to normal size, exhausted, but still standing, and when the fiery smoke clears, Hatterene is revealed to have been defeated. At that, the announcer declares Gloria as the winner, meaning she'll be moving on to the finals. Gloria is beyond thrilled. She runs up to hug Cinderace, thanking her for a job well done. Bead meanwhile shows his appreciation to Hatterene, thanking her for battling so hard, then recalls her for a well-deserved rest. The trainers meet up in the center of the battlefield, and Gloria thanks Bead for the great match. Bead then commends Gloria for managing to win a battle that was completely out of her element, one she had no way to prepare for. Gloria wishes Bead well in his studies to become a fairy-type gym leader, and he tells her that he'll keep working to show everyone in Galar the power of pink. The gang of Ash, Clara, Avery, Urshifu, Hop, and Marty head back to the waiting room to congratulate Gloria on her win and praise Bead for a great battle despite his loss. Bead thanks them. Then he tells Ash that he looks forward to watching his next battle, which is up next. Ash thanks Bead for the encouragement and prepares to head to the pitch. But before he leaves, Gloria tells him something important. If he wins his next battle, he'll be in the top 2 with her, meaning the final battle to determine the winner of the Champion Cup and who will face Leon will be the 2 of them against each other. Ash pauses, as, even though he was fully aware of this, it never fully sunk in until now, that he'd be battling his close friend and travel companion. But Ash smiles and tells Gloria that he's going to win this next battle because his goal is ultimately to face Leon, and he wants no one other than Gloria to be the one he faces to earn that opportunity. Gloria is beyond nervous as she sits in her seat, but she knows that this is one of the most important battles of her life. Even though she's not the one battling, this is the last chance she has to analyze Ash's Pokemon, their skills and abilities. If he wins this, she'll be facing these Pokemon as her final opponents in her quest to defeat Leon. Ash's opponent is a girl named Pionia, and the battle between the 2 of them is one of willpower. The girl opened the battle with a Caparasha, and Ash sent out Colossal to take it on. Gloria watched as the huge bulky Pokemon fought each other at such an intense strength. Despite Colossal's type advantage, he struggled against Caparasha's strong ground-type attacks. Ultimately, the first matchup of this battle wound up as a draw, when Meteor Beam and Steel Beam sent both Pokemon hurtling into the stadium walls. In order to beat Colossal, speed and type advantage will be the key, Gloria thinks. Thinking it over in her head, she doesn't have too many Pokemon with moves that Colossal is weak to, so perhaps she'll need to focus on speed. Or maybe she can teach one of her Pokemon a new move. A Water-type move could be good, but she also needs to keep Colossal's Steam Engine ability in mind, since that can actually make him move faster. Ignoring this internal turmoil, Gloria turns her attention back to the battle. Ash has sent out Dracovish next to battle against Pionia's own unique Pokemon, a bird mutant she calls Dracozolt. This battle is one of sheer force, as Dracozolt perfectly matches Dracovish's natural vicious nature. Dracovish uses a hard Fishious Rend on Dracozolt's tail, only gets zapped by a hard Thunder. A follow-up Dragon Tail sends him out of the battle, bringing Sirfetch'd in. Sirfetch'd manages to fend Dracozolt off for a while with Brutal Swing and Fury Cutter, but the Fossil Mutant is no pushover. A Bolt Beak is blocked by his shield, but a follow-up Thunder overpowers him. Gloria makes sure to keep note of how effortlessly Sirfetch'd rotates from using his sword for his powerful physical attacks to using his shield to block his opponent's moves. The Pokemon is actually quite elegant, something Gloria hadn't noticed all too much. As Gloria is deep in her thoughts, she barely notices when the Pokemon Dynamax. The giant creatures continue hacking away at each other, dealing even more damage in these powerful forms, neither willing to give an inch. By this point, Gloria is certain that brute strength might be the only way to surpass the bird. This is proven when the Pokemon return to normal size, completely exhausted, and a powerful clash of Meteor Salt and Aerial Ace results in Sirfetch'd meeting his defeat. Dracovish returns to the battle, and the Battle of Beasts resumes from where it had left off. Dracovish is enraged when he hears that his good comrade Sirfetch'd had gone down, and this causes his stomach spikes to glow red, unleashing his ancient power. Of course, that strange power. Just when Gloria thought she knew everything about Dracovish's battle style, he revealed that new ability at Raihan's gym. It's not that Gloria would forget about that, but she needs to make sure she can counter it properly. Not only can it power Dracovish up, it gives the Pokemon an extra method of trapping opponents, which she otherwise lacked. Gloria feels like she'll need to use her strongest attacks to deal with the fish creature, perhaps through Dynamax. The girl's thoughts are interrupted as Dracovish lands a Dragon Rush onto his fossil cousin, knocking him out and bringing the battle back to a tie. Pionia's next Pokemon is her Greedent. The matchup seems a bit uneven at first glance, but Pionia was fully prepared to take on Ash, as she's aware that he's one of the strongest gym challengers in this competition. Greedent dodged most of Dracovish's attacks perfectly well, and even when Dracovish latched on a Greedent with Crunch, a Super Fang in retaliation sent Dracovish wailing in pain. Just as Gloria expected, Ash decided to go big with a Dragon Rush, falling right into Pionia's trap. This is what she wanted all along. Greedent stuffs its cheeks with a few berries to raise its defenses, allowing it to take the hard hit, then strike back with counter. Dracovish falls to that, thus putting Ash out half of his team. Gloria predicts either Pikachu or Inteleon to come out next, and it winds up being the Electric Mouse. Gloria is pleased by the fact that she can often accurately guess which Pokemon Ash will use in the middle of battle. As she anticipates, Pikachu manages to use his long-range attacks to deal most of the damage to Greedent. That said, Greedent fights back well, with a few body slams, dealing heavy hits to Pikachu. The smaller Pokemon winds up getting the win after trapping Greedent with Electro Web, then using a finishing Thunderbolt. Pikachu uses this strategy a lot, so Gloria knows it'll be something she needs to prepare for. She figures most of her Pokemon have a way to break free with Electro Web, except for maybe Alchemy. She'll try to avoid having Alchemy face Pikachu at all costs. Next for Pionia is her Indeedee. Gloria expects that this will be tricky for Pikachu, as his speed is his strength. But Psychic types are often able to manipulate the battle in their favor, so that speed doesn't matter. And Indeedee, Pionia has her Pokemon use Trick Room, allowing him to move faster than Pikachu. With Pikachu slow to attack, Indeedee uses a Calm Mind Stored Powered combo to deal a massive hit to Pikachu. Ash tries to bypass the Trick Room with Quick Attack, but a speedy Psychic Terrain is used to stop Pikachu from using the move. With Pikachu so overpowered, a second Store Power finishes him off. Taking down Pikachu will clearly be a matter of getting and keeping the upper hand, Gloria thinks. If she can throw Ash off his game and keep Pikachu from getting any momentum in the battle, he should be easy to defeat. Ash sends Corviknight into the battle next. While Indeedee can land some good hits, Corviknight's Steel type resists Indeedee's strongest attacks, so a combination of Steel Wing and Sky Attack can take the Pokemon down, bringing both opponents down to 2 Pokemon. Barraskewda is next for Pionia, and these Pokemon get into a suspenseful brawl. Gloria has always noticed Corviknight's willpower and determination to battle until the end. As the entire stadium cheers for him, he fights through a series of hard Aqua Jets and strikes back with a powerful Iron Head. Gloria views Corviknight as a perfect all-rounder. He can hit hard, but also has a steely defense that allows him to take hard hits. Cinderace might be able to stand up to him, but of course, it'll all depend on who can attack the fastest and hardest. Well, in this battle, it winds up being a double knockout. Sky Attack deals a heavy hit, but Liquidation is just strong enough to counter it, and it results in both Pokemon being defeated. Tyrantrum is the last Pokemon for Pionia, while Inteleon is last for Ash. Tyrantrum is a beast, nearly as vicious as Ash's Dracovish in battle. It tears into Inteleon with powerful moves like Dragon Claw and high horsepower. Thankfully, Inteleon does have Protect to shield herself from a lot of the damage in battle. This is an important point for Gloria, since Inteleon are usually very quick, hard hitters, but on the frail side. Ash's Inteleon has a great counter to that, with Protect, allowing her to avoid big hits and remain safe in battle. She knows she'll need to make sure she can match Inteleon's speed and strength for sure. Inteleon uses a strong snipe shot, which manages to knock Tyrantrum back. But he maintains his footing. He latches onto Inteleon with Ice Fang, freezing much of her body. At this, Gloria becomes concerned. This entire time, she's been watching this battle, thinking of how she needs to defeat Ash's Pokemon in the next round. But could he actually lose this? Could he be defeated before their battle even happens? No, she won't allow that. She jumps out of her seat and calls out to Ash and Inteleon, telling them to pull through this. Ash smiles at Gloria and nods. He won't lose before he can face her. Ash calls out to Inteleon and tells her to use Snipe Shot and break free. Inteleon aims her frozen fingers at Tyrantrum, and she winds up shooting numerous frozen spears at Tyrantrum, who winds up letting her go. Marty asks if the Snipe Shot got frozen from the Ice Fang, and Mustard says that it seems it did, and he identifies this new attack as Icicle Spear. Ash is thrilled by the brand new move and commands Icicle Spear once more. Inteleon hits the attack, and Tyrantrum begins to struggle. Pionia isn't out just yet though, and orders Stone Edge. But Inteleon manages to jump up just in time and avoid the stones by gliding through the air with her back membranes. She then aims a snipe shot directly at Tyrantrum's head, scoring a critical hit and giving Ash the win. Gloria probably cheers louder than everyone once it's announced that Ash will be moving on to the finals. This is it. This is the moment that Gloria and Ash have known from the beginning was destined to happen, but now it's here. Ash and Gloria will need to face each other to determine who will get the chance to battle Leon. Immediately, Ash is nervous. He knows how Gloria likes to analyze her opponent's battle style in order to better understand and beat them. And she's been watching his battle style for the entire time they've been traveling together, through gym battles and battles against rivals. She basically knows his team and each of their strengths and weaknesses inside and out. But at the same time, Ash knows her team in the same way. Battling her will be a challenge. He'll have to use his full knowledge of Gloria as a trainer to defeat her. Gloria, meanwhile, is a mix of confident and nervous. She knows how strong Ash is, and knows his main battling style, but also that he's unpredictable and tends to pull out new strategies out of nowhere. Thankfully, she's well versed in his team, having watched all of them battle for their entire journey together, and she now thinks that her team is more than capable of beating him. Tomorrow, the ultimate battle begins.